Welcome to Saints Happy Hour podcast. We never skip a drink day.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Now grab a drink and enjoy the show.
Welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hard Hide Conchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Thanks for finding us on the YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, like us, make a comment. It really helps us with the algorithm and gets us shown in more Saints content. It's free and it's a great way to help the show. So do it. We're doing it on Zoom today, me and Kevin, because Thomas, he couldn't join us, and I have a sick kid. He's got strep throat. So we had to do it when we could do it. Hopefully, knock on wood or something, Kevin, I don't get strep, because I want to go to this Saints Falcons game that me and you were going to preview, because it's going to be fun. But if I get the strep, I can't go. Which brings us to Saints Falcons, Kevin.
Yes.
Falcons are a 3.5-point favorite, depending on where you do your gambling. I have to say, I wasn't excited. I was excited to go to this game a little bit with a patron that won the contest, EJ. Me and him, I was excited to meet him, and we were gonna go. I was excited for that, but like everything else, I wasn't excited about. I was like, oh my God, they lost to Carolina. They're gonna be 2-7. The crowd's gonna be either empty, angry, or Falcons fans. This is not gonna be fun. But I got to say now, Kevin, we got the Rizzler, and I know in my heart how it's going to go, and we'll get to that, the on-field stuff in a minute. But I'm kind of delusional, and I'm kind of excited to see it now. Like I'm excited about Rizzi as the coach.
So what makes you excited about him?
I just think the thing that's got me most excited, and I mentioned this on the podcast, but we didn't really get into it on the main show. Me and you can get into it, and this is clearly friend of the program, John O'Barnes. This shit more than a game. He's awesome. He's a great Saints fan, content creator. He's come on my podcast, come on this podcast a bunch of times. He pointed out something that I didn't notice about the team decision last year when Arthur Smith was walking towards DA, and you could see kind of DA being his sad kind of apologetic. Yeah. Rizzi, you can see he was like, Arthur Smith is mad and he's going to give me this smoke and I'm here for it. If he wants to yell at me, I'll yell right back at his ass, because this is Saints Falcons, and you're damn right we ran up the score.
Right. I saw that. I like that.
I like
that's what you want to see.
That's what I want to see.
That's what you want to see. You just want to see. You want to see a little bit of fire. You want to see a little bit of passion. Sometimes I'm on board with the name of the game is scoring. If you don't want to get scored on, stop us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, listen, we're beating their damn brains in. I'm fine just handing the ball off, and getting out of there with the win and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, the team wants to make a decision to get the guy a touchdown.
Yeah.
If I'm the coach, I'm not apologizing for it right up front. I'm just saying, I'm immediately going out there and I'm saying, and I don't even think I said this at the time. I'm going out there and I'm saying, hey, we wanted to get the guy a touchdown. He hadn't scored all year. And if Arthur Smith is still pissing and moaning and yelling about it, just like, I get it, but we wanted to get the guy a touchdown.
Yeah, and then when the media
leaves, that's it. And then when everything's done, maybe you reach out later and just say, hey, I'm sorry about that, but this is where we were. This is where we are.
You can't. Well, I mean, not to go over.
Actually, then again, the guy was getting fired anyway. He was
well,
gone,
that's the
so
thing.
It wouldn't have mattered. But
that's the thing with Arthur Smith. When he was shaking DA's hand, he didn't say, "Why'd you do that to us?" He said, "Why'd you do that to me?" Because Arthur Smith knew when he was walking across that field, he was getting fucking fired. And he's like, but like the team decision.
I'll give Arthur Smith this. The guy knew he was getting fired. I don't know if DA at any point knew he was
Yeah.
and again, I wasn't watching any of the DA clips following the Carolina loss.
No, I don't think.
And again, anybody listening to this, if there was a time during the presser,
he did not. He did not.
Okay.
He did not give me off vibes of a guy knew he was getting fired. But DA is so unemotional and monotone and boring. It's kind of hard to tell, right?
Right.
But like a lot of times you can tell, like coaches after games, you can see it on the face. I don't think DA expected to get fired. And here's the craziest thing about all of this was there's Albert Breer for SI. He said Gale had decided on Friday they were firing him no matter what, which that would have been stunning. If they had come back and won that game and they had still fired him on Monday, it would have blown our minds. It really would have. But
yeah.
It's not.
I tell you what, I think even more people would have been calling for Mickey Loomis's head at that point. Like if they still won and they fired him, like, yeah.
Woo. Here's the thing with Rizzi that I think is the interesting point is he's shuffled it around. He's putting everybody back like in the locker room by position groups. He's changed practice up. He switched which sides the offense and defense practice on. He has he kicked Todd Grantham up to like a assistant coach game planning role, and Brian Young is going to be the defensive line coach. So he's made pretty significant changes. And apparently, this is where we have to talk about this. This is where I think we might need to have a tribunal and try DA for his crimes. The Saints, man, warming up before practice wasn't mandatory. And all these self-tissue injuries, Kevin, we've been talking about it for years. And apparently DA was like, warm up. If you want to warm up, don't warm up. And Rizzi was like, nah, we got to have warming up. It's going to be mandatory. We're going to call it, they call it activation now. But really, it's just a little bit of stretching, a little bit of thing. And we get you warmed up before practice. I was like, are you kidding me? That explains so much. Like, why are the Saints getting pulled hamstrings on a Saturday? Why are they getting injuries on a Friday?
Like dinner's coming out the oven. You keep ranting.
So why is this happening? Why are they getting injuries on a Saturday where like they're not hitting? It's basically a glorified walkthrough. Why is Pete Warner pulling a hamstring? Why is Chris Olave twisting an ankle? Why is all this happening? Because the Saints weren't warming up. And I just like that is a DA of everything, of the team decision, of not telling players that you can't park in the handicap spots and all this and all of that, all of it. It just, like, I don't know if DA it was like adverse to confrontation or whatever, but like you cannot have all these little things. And I know Kevin's gone and I want to talk to him about something else about DA. But I just look at this, guys, and I saw it when they talked to Alvin Kamara today, which, by the way, Alvin Kamara, 12 yards away, being the Saints' all-time leading rusher. So that's going to happen. And it's going to be fun because it'll happen against Atlanta, and that will be a good thing, right? But, Kevin, the last thing on DA, I ranted it, you weren't here. The last thing about DA that I think it was a little thing, but to me, it absolutely said so much about him. His first year, when they won against Atlanta in the comeback game, right?
Right.
And it was amazing. Jameis was like, just went full Jameis Winston's experience. I'm just going to throw the ball over. Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, one of incredible comebacks in Saints history. Maybe the most fun of them all, right? After the game, DA was like, the locker room was excited and all this. And DA is like, I don't really do game balls. And he just read off some stats. And I was like, that's kind of fucking lame. You're not going to do, like, I see all
he flat out said that.
Yeah.
He said in that moment I don't give out game balls.
I don't really do game balls. And I was just like, because I look at these teams. I look at Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
I look at the Rams with McVay. I look at all these teams that win. Kansas City. And they're handing out game balls. And the locker room is pumped. And they're excited. And the kicker makes the field goal. And it's like, Andy Reid for the Chiefs. They were like, hey, new guy, get down here. It was DeAndre Hopkins. And he had just been with the Chiefs, right? He had a huge game. He had a huge catch on Monday night. Yeah. And they were pumped up like kids. And it's a small thing. But
right.
That's how you build camaraderie.
Team cohesion.
Yes.
Team cohesion.
And it's just like, you'd think somebody would go to D and be like, God, man, you gotta do game balls, man. Like, it's like, I don't know. That's like a football constitutional amendment.
That's one of those like coaching 101 things that they ought to put up there for new coaches. Like, I don't know if Bill Belichick does game balls or anything, but if he doesn't, and he's just the way he is as a coach, then fine, because he's ultra successful and the way he does things, it's its own thing. But you need to be excited. That would be my advice. Yeah, but Bill Belichick's the way. No. Be excited. Be exuberant. You have to lead a group of grown-ass adult men who are getting paid a shit ton of money, get them all to buy in on what you're selling, and get them ready to play a game that is going to slowly kill them.
That's right.
Anything you can do to get them to be happy about all of that and involved, do it.
That's right.
Do it.
And it's like a small thing, but it matters so much. Like if the Saints win Sunday and Alvin Kamara has a huge game and he scores like the game-winning touchdown, I want Rizzi holding up the game ball and being like, the leading rusher in the history of the Saints, Alvin Kamara, get up here. And you throw him the game ball, and he says, like, I'm happy we broke the losing streak, blah, 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 and everybody cheers. And it's just, you got to have it. Like, Dennis Allen never had any energy. Like, even at the Dallas game, his little, like...
The closest thing he had was when he quoted that when he did the rap lyric.
Yeah, and
he sounded like the whitest human being walking the earth.
That's right. So, I mean, listen, we got plenty of time to get into mock drafts, to get into coaching hires. But listen, this game is, to me, this is the only game I'm going to really care about winning
the rest of the way.
The rest of the year. Like, and I'm not saying that if the Saints win a bunch of games, I'll be sad, because I won't. Because the more I hear about Rizzi, I like him. I really like his press conference. He has energy. He commands the room. And I don't know. We don't know anything about these coaches. I don't know if Ben Johnson. I don't know Aaron Grant. We don't know any of these coaches that have never been head coaches. Kevin, we don't have any idea who's going to be good. So if Rizzi could like get the Saints to 6 or 7 wins, like, and they make him full-time, like, I'm fine with it. I don't think that's going to happen, because we'll get into that in a minute. But like, my point is, the only game that I'm going to be upset the rest of the year if the Saints lose a close game is this game. I want to beat Atlanta. I want to ruin their season. I want to show America that they're a bunch of fraudulent frauds.
I would say it's 2 weeks in a row, because you got the Falcons this week, and then you got the Browns next week at home with Jameis coming back.
But is his GA being gone? Does it kind of temper the Jameis thing a little bit?
No, because you still got Derek Carr on the other sideline throwing the ball. And then shit, if you want to even, like, it's honestly a win, place, and show.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Falcons, then the Browns, and then the Commandos. because you've not only got the LSU kid. Why am I blanking on his name? Why am I blanking on his name?
The Jaden Daniels.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You got Jaden Daniels coming in.
Yep.
And you got Marshawn Lattimore now playing against his former team. And it's like, it would be nice. Like, honestly, out of all three of them, obviously, I would prefer they beat the shit out of the Falcons and win. But if the Commandos come in and win, and Daniels looks good, and Lattimore picks off Derek Carr, you're going to hear I really think if Lattimore picks off Carr, you're going to hear a giant roar from the crowd. Even if the Saints are somehow playing well in all these games under Rizzi.
Yeah, Lattimore, for all his injuries and difficulty, I mean, him and DA just did not get along at the end. I mean, that was clear. For all of that, Lattimore, all his chaos with the Saints that he had was all behind the scenes. He never publicly said anything bad about him. He did a nice video thanking the fans. By the way, Lattimore thanked New Orleans before Anthony Davis.
DA thanked New Orleans before Anthony Davis.
So it'll be.
Remember that, people. Remember that shit.
Are you as open-minded about Rizzi as I am? Or are you like, no, I don't really want him. I want something new. Are you as open-minded about Rizzi as I am?
Probably not, because you sound way more hyped up than I am. The way I look at it is, and I'm going over his bio, and it's like he's been a head coach in college a couple of times, and like he goes places and he ends up having these nice little stints where he's the special teams coordinator again and again, and he gets some experience as like the assistant head coach.
Yeah.
But I don't have a grand opinion on the guy. I just don't. But I am willing to be, here comes the sad pun. I am willing to be rizzed up by this guy. What the team does with him in charge. I'm willing to have that happen.
What would he do? What would he have to do to where you'd be like, they gotta hire him? Like, and it can be whatever because it's your choice. So like, if you say, hey, they got to be 6-2 or they got to be 7-1, whatever. But like, what would have to happen in the last 8 games where it's done? And me and you were talking on the post game show, the final game before Black Monday, and obviously DA's fired, so we don't have to worry about that. But they have played Tampa, they just beat Tampa, whatever. What does Rizzi have to do where we're in that post game show and you're like, they got. He's the coach. Like, you got to make him the coach. Like, what would he have to do to absolutely make that happen for you? And it could be ridiculous. Like, okay, I'm not going to judge you.
I'm going to try and just think of like maybe like minimums here. Minimum 3-5. Minimum 3-5.
Ooh, you see, you're being so. You're being.
But here's the thing: the 5 losses. They can't be blowouts.
I see what
you can't be blowouts. They've got to look competitive. They've got to look competitive in at least 6 of these final 8 games. Win 3 of them at least. I'm talking minimum. The penalties have to be cleaned up. The dumb plays across the board, which included special teams. Dumb plays have to be stopped.
That's right.
Like all these like little check boxes. Like if you can give me like, give me this benchmark. Is he hitting this benchmark? Is the team hitting this benchmark? Does he just keep, let's say the team beats, I'm throwing it out. Let's say they beat the Falcons and the Browns and then they lose the next 5. Well, wait, no. Let's say, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They beat the Falcons and the Browns. They lose the next 5, and he is still piss and vinegar at the podium. He doesn't sound defeated. He keeps sounding enthusiastic. give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that. When everything is against you, when you're backed into a corner, all the stereotypical nonsense, whatever it is, he's got to exude being the guy in charge.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is I think if he wants any shot, they got to be 4-4 minimum.
4-4
minimum 4-4. He goes better than if he gets this team to 7 wins, he's going to be the coach. I really believe that. The thing that I want to see though is they got to win 4 games, and there's going to be one of these games in these last 8 where it's just going to suck for a half and probably be against a good team, probably like Washington or the Rams, where they play and they're down 17-0, 20-3. And you're going to halftime and you'd be like, oh, well, this sucks. Whatever. We're 4-8. Who gives a shit? You know what I want to see, though? I want to see the Saints come out and do what they did before they kind of rolled up and kind of tuned the out, where we're like, oh, they're down 20-3. And then we look up in the fourth quarter and you're like, oh, 27-23. If the Saints get a stop here, the Rams will have to punt and they might win this game. And then after, so you can say, hey, a team that's going nowhere with the interim coach, they were down 20-3 at the half. They had every reason the week before Christmas or whatever it is to just say, screw this. We'll get them next week. And they didn't. They continued to fight their ass off. If I see that,
give me competitiveness.
That's right. And
give me fire. Give me competitiveness.
And you know what? Here's the thing with Rizzi that I want. Get a little weird. The fake punt, do some of that. Mix in a fake field goal. And the other thing that
be a little more aggressive on 4th down.
Yeah. And this is
smart. What don't just lob a goddamn rainbow pass.
This is what I loved about Rizzi at his press conference yesterday. He said, they asked him about, he's in charge of the game management. And he was talking about, different things. And he was talking about, and he's like, analytics, he's like, it's great, but it's all be all. And most of the time when analytics, they're important and they give the cliched answer, but they're like, but sometimes you got to go with your gut. But he didn't say that. He said, he's like, you got to understand what the game is and how the season's going. And he made this really interesting point. He said, the 2-point conversion, he's like, all the analytics that tell you to go for the 2-point conversion are based on historical data that says you make the 2-point conversion 45% of the time. But he said, in 2024, teams are only converting the 2-point play 31% of the time. So he says, when you put historical data against 2024 data, it makes the decision more complicated and you got to think it through. You got to understand what's going on. And to me, Kevin, that showed a depth and a knowledge and a way to explain analytics. I did not hear that from DA.
No.
I didn't even hear that really from Sean Payton. And to me, in 2024, whether you agree with analytics or not, I want my coach to be able to talk about analytics exactly like that.
Right as I take a bite. Okay. I'm going to do the old hand over the face thing. I wish I had like a fake coaches.
Steal a Waffle House menu.
Right.
Steal a Waffle House menu and then you'll be good.
Okay. And I'm losing my train of thought. I think I lost it.
So yeah.
What did you just say? What did you just say?
I just think I want my coach.
Analytics. Analytics. No, analytics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want a coach who welcomes analytics and listens to analytics and still has to make, but obviously you still got to make your own decision. Duh.
That's right.
You're the head coach. But a guy who says, all right, why'd we do this? Even though the fans were clamoring for this, we looked at the situation. The numbers historically are like this. And in the position we were in, we felt it was better to do this thing.
Yeah.
Conversely, okay, The numbers said this. We looked at it. We were like, you know what? We've been on a roll. They're doing this and that. We think we got them in this situation. So we went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just be able, like, again, you're taking the data, you're taking it under advisement, you're making a decision, and you can explain yourself
That's
why.
right. That's right.
That's
like
it.
Like if they play
That's
Atlanta,
confidently explain why you did what you did.
If they play Atlanta, right, and they're like, it's 4th and 1 with 2.5 minutes to go, and you can go for a first down and wrap up the game, or you can kick the field goal and go up 7. And afterwards, they talk to Rizzi, and he's like, listen, I kicked the field goal. I know the analytics say to go for it when it's 4th and 1 from the 21-yard line, but our center got hurt. Lucas McCoy wasn't playing. We were down to the 3rd string guard. Kamara had 5 straight carries up to that point.
Eric McCoy.
Taysom got banged up. And he's like,
right.
I just didn't feel confident enough that we could get a yard. And I'd be like, okay, I get it. You acknowledge the analytics. This is what the Atlanta analytics said. But then you explained the actual game. And the nerds will get mad because they'll say, no, injuries don't matter. Game situation, blah, 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 blah. But he's a freaking head coach. And if he can explain it, I'll be like, okay, I get it. Like that, as fans, that's all we really want is like, just explain it to us. So I really like Rizzi. And the fact that he's East Coast, he kind of sounds like Tony Soprano after he ate a bowl of gravel. And apparently, Mike Rizzi, he's got 5 kids, which is incredible. They're like all over.
Well,
his daughter is like the recruiting coordinator to the Miami Hurricanes, the college team. So I just feel like he's a guy. He knows how to manage people, and I'm rooting.
Well, he is from Hillsdale, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County.
Yeah.
He was a coach at New Haven,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is New Hampshire, I believe, and then was at Rutgers. For 5 or 6 years, and then becomes a head coach in Rhode Island University, and then becomes an assistant special teams guy in Miami with Tony Sparano.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's got good East Coast.
He's got the
wise guy accent training. I look forward to the post game presser to hear him say this, that, or the other thing.
I think we have the potential for the most fun post-game presser since Joe Vitt, 2012, where Joe Vitt was the interim and he gave no fucks at all about anything. And he was just, I always felt like he needed what Joe Vitt needed to be. He needed to be in the wife beater, a pack of cigarettes, and a neat bourbon doing the post games in 2012. But listen, the actual game, Kevin.
Yeah.
Atlanta, 6-3. Here's the interesting thing about Atlanta. Their offense, since the Saints put them in an absolute straitjacket, and remember, they beat the Saints, but they did not score an offensive touchdown in that game, which was really weird in that weird chaos of a game. Their offense since then has been rolling. The Saints were the last team to give the business to Kirk Cousins. The Saints defense, it's kind of a lot different. They don't have Marshawn. They don't have Paulson Adebo. So we'll see. I do wonder, Kevin, if the defense and offense for the Saints with Rizzi, if it'll just be not wildly different, but will it be like, could the Saints cook something up that Atlanta has not seen because Joe Woods is going to be running the defense? Could the Saints ambush, I'll use that word, Atlanta and Atlanta be like, what in the hell is this? We haven't seen this on tape all year. Do you think the Saints might try to do that to Atlanta Sunday?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at an over-under prop bet here.
Mm-hmm.
The prop bet is Kirk Cousins over or under 224.5 passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
I would take the under.
The Saints are gonna come out with tremendous energy in this game.
Right.
I think the crowd's gonna be. They're going to be happy as you can be for a 2-7 team. Like I think Saints fans are gonna be pumped. I think my attitude is the majority of Saints fans. They're like, Win on Sunday. Whatever happens after that, it's cool. If you want to go 3-14 and pick in the top 3, beautiful. It's fine. We'll deal with it.
It's all lanyap.
It's all lanyap, but beat Atlanta. So if the Saints can get off to a good start, I like it. The problem for the Saints, I really feel, the issues in the secondary, although Will Harris is coming back at safety. You get him back. You might get Eric McCoy back at center, right? They ran the ball really good against Atlanta last time, and that was with the backup center and the issues on the offensive line. The Saints still ran the ball really well against Atlanta in that game. So I think Alvin Kamara could really do well in this game, and I think the Saints are going to lean on him again. Like, he's going to have a lot of carries. Like, I would bet Kamara, I would go over 100 yards. I think he's going to go over. If you go
over 100 yards rushing,
over 100 yards rushing, I think if you go Alvin Kamara over 100-yard rushing, you go Derek Carr 2 touchdowns. The biggest concern to me, Kevin, with this game is the Saints receivers are complete and utter no ones. Like you're talking Mason Tipton,
Martinez Valdez-Scantling,
Cedric Wilson, like
Jermaine Jackson.
You got a bunch of nobodies, and that's the thing. I wish Bub Memes and another thing. DA out the door. Apparently, according to Ross Jackson, he put Kendra Miller on IR. They didn't really need to put Kendra Miller on IR. All the coaches were like, "What are you doing? That's like a 2-week injury." DA put Kendra Miller on IR for 4 weeks, which is annoying because in a season where you're meaningless and you got an interim coach and you're not going to playoffs, you want to see these young players. I want to see if Kendra Miller can be a good running back. I want to see if Bub Memes can be a good receiver, and they're injured. But that's my biggest concern, Kevin. The receivers. I just worry that Atlanta is going to just be like, we're going to single cover everybody. We're going to dare you to throw the ball. We're going to dare people to get open, and it's just not going to be able to get the Saints receivers just aren't going to be able to do it.
I don't even see Equanimous St. Brown on the depth
I forgot about him.
I don't even see him on the depth chart.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be not a who's who. It's going to be a who's that.
I think if I was going to do my Saints victory parlay, Alvin Kamara over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Right. You got to have that.
Right.
Derek Carr over 200 passing yards.
Okay.
But I think if the Saints are going to give us what we want and beat Atlanta, I think Taysom Hill is going to be involved some kind of way. Like he's got a 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill plus 1,000 over 2 touchdowns. I just feel like if the Saints are winning Sunday, Taysom Hill is going to be involved or Cam Jordan is going to be involved. A Falcon killer has to get the Saints over the line in this game.
I agree. Especially when Juge was saying it on the Big Show the other night.
That's right. Does make me a little queasy that Juge would get the victory lap.
Listen,
Taysom has an awesome game, though.
It would be a hell of a thing if Taysom, catches a touchdown pass and either runs or throws for another one. I mean, this would be the time to just try something to do some crazy shit. But I think Taysom will score 8 touchdowns.
Taysom was wrecking them the first game. They did not have an answer for. And the thing is, Atlanta's defense is bad. Like their defense, they're not quite as bad rushing the passer as the Saints, but they're pretty bad. You can shove them around. Dallas was even moving the ball on them with, I forget the Dallas backup quarterback's name, but he was doing it. They're 20th in points allowed. but they're like, if you go advanced stats, they're like bottom 8 EPA, bottom 3 in rush. Like their pass rush is dreadful. And Judon, who remember they traded for New England, he's been a disaster. Like he's just been like Cam Jordan. You know, you get a pass rusher into their 30s and they go from being good to being washed like that. So
yeah, like I'm looking at the previous game from earlier this year. I could have swore Tyler Algier had more rushing yards. I mean, still eight carries for 60 is pretty significant.
He ripped off a one long one though.
His longest one was 15 yards.
Okay, no.
Like his current over under is 39 and a half.
Ooh, see,
I mean, I guess they think Bijan Robinson is going to be more of a factor, but I would almost consider taking the over on that one. But
I think this game's going to be. I think this game's going to be a lot of points. I know the Saints.
Haven't you said that? How many times have you said I think this game's going to be a lot of points? And then again, the damn Carolina game was 23-22.
You hit the over.
And yeah, you barely hit the over.
Yeah, barely. I feel like if this Saints game, if it goes the Saints way and it's fun, you'll have receivers making plays, right? So that's the thing. I just think if the Saints are going to win this game, it's going to be the most fun game of the NFL Sunday. Does that make sense? Like if the Saints win, it's not going to be a game where even though the Saints are terrible and Atlanta's kind of good, and the Saints aren't going to win like 17-14, where like all the national podcasts that people listen to just ignore it. It'll be one of those games where it'll be like, I know the Saints are bad, but we got to talk about Saints Falcons because that shit was crazy. And
I don't know, man.
That's how I think it's going to go.
Excuse me. I'm looking at the schedule. Pittsburgh and Washington looks really good on paper.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
If not for Houston is sort of on a slide, but they're still 6-3, and they're playing Detroit 7-1 Sunday night. I mean, those two matchups probably look the best on paper, but man, and you're going to tell me this one is going to be the most fun?
Just saying.
I don't see it. It's not going to look. Even if the game is really, fun and exciting and it's a back and forth kind of thing, like toward the end, like the Carolina game was, I can't see it being one of the first three things that gets discussed on First Take or ESPN or whatever talking head stuff is. Maybe if we're lucky, Kay Adams will throw us a bone on whatever show she does now, or maybe Mina Kimes will mention something. But the most fun, you could talk me into it. Talk me into it.
I'm not saying that they're going to spend as much time as they are on the Washington game that you talked about and these other games. I'm not saying they're going to spend 20 minutes on the Saints game. I'm just going to say they're going to mention it and they're going to talk about it more than they would if it was 17-13 Saints win. They're going to be like, it was 38-35 and it was crazy and the Saints ran a punt back and Mason Tipton, who I didn't even know he existed, he caught 6 for 95 and a touchdown. Like, it's just going to be like Saints Falcons. It got really weird the first game. I think it's going to get really weird again. Just saying. That's all.
Yeah, the difference there was what, a pick six?
Yeah, I mean the difference in that game was it was a pick six, or you could say Shaheed just brain farted and fumbled the punt.
Yeah.
Right? I mean that game was just it was the Falcons just got a gift from heaven. I mean, listen.
Right.
So we'll see. Final thoughts on this Falcons team.
The Falcons team looks
I mean, it's very.
They look good. I mean, not like
Mm,
not like not like, oh man, they're good. Like they look good.
they're
Like
like,
they're not like they're in the driver's seat in the division,
100%. They're winning the
and
South. They're
and,
winning
and
the
all that
South.
kind of shit. Like when they make the postseason, I think they'll just get rolled up by whoever's in there. But they're going to be the ones going to the
I
postseason.
feel
Our
like
asses are going to be, having boat drinks or whatever.
I feel like Atlanta. I mean, they're going to win the South, and look, they haven't made the playoffs in 7 years, so they're excited. And look, if the Saints go 7 years without going to the playoffs, and then win the division, we'll be pumped too. But I just feel like for Atlanta, they're basically in year 4 of this rebuild since they got rid of Matt Ryan and tore it all down, or they were like, hey, we went to the Super Bowl, we blew it in 28-3. Then we went to the playoffs again in 2017, and then 2018 and 2019 they were kind of mediocre. And then they did this. It's been like a 4-year plan where they cleaned up their cap. They were terrible. They didn't spend any money. I feel like on year 4 of your rebuild, like their roster should be better. Like I know they have Bijan, he's really
Yeah.
good, and I
Yeah.
know that, but like Bijan's really good, but Drake London is just okay. Mooney is okay. Algier is really nice, like, but they're like Pitts is coming around finally, maybe a little, but I think that's because he played bad defenses. I mean, Saints are bad defense too. But I just feel like when you're on year 4 of a rebuild, like your roster should be better than this. Like I don't think Atlanta has done incredible work. Like they're not like that's all I'm saying. Like I don't think they like I would expect if I was an Atlanta fan, I'd be like, our defense still can't rush the passer. We're still kind of ass on defense. We're not that good. Like you should be further along in a rebuild. Like the Saints, they just started their rebuild. If in 25, 26, 27, 20, if in 2028, if they're on like year 4 of the rebuild, like I would hope that roster would be really, really good and you'd be making significant progress. I don't feel like Atlanta has. I feel like the only difference between Atlanta this year and the last 3 years is they have competent quarterback. Like that's the only difference. The roster's not really any better.
Yeah.
That's my,
Yeah, they have a better version of Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, like
Yeah.
they have a better version of Derek Carr. They seem to be able to protect him pretty well. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing anybody that just blows me away, but it just like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's all. It's like if the team, we circle it back around to what we were talking about with Rizzi, you get team cohesion.
Yeah.
You get everybody buying in. You don't like maybe you don't have anybody that wows you all. That maybe there's no guys on this team that are just that wow you. But as a team, as a unit, offense, defense, they're getting things done. Well, maybe not in the defense's case, but they're getting enough things done where they got 6 wins, and they're probably going to win the division. So
That's right.
it's like, despite the fact that the roster may not look sexy, they're doing something right. They're doing more than something right. They're doing a few things right, and it's like, well, okay.
I just
Fun getting railroaded by Detroit or whoever.
I just like if you told me
Yeah.
the Saints could embarrass Atlanta and they would not win another game, I would be totally fine with it. Like it'll just give me so much joy if one of the main NFL stories on all the national podcasts, whichever ones you prefer to listen to, whether it's Kay Adams, Robert Mays, The Ringer, Mina Kimes, Bill Barr, whichever one you want to listen to, it will bring me so much joy is if when they get to Saints Falcons, they'll be like, I think the Falcons are frauds.
Well,
because the Saints just kicked the crap out of them. I think they're frauds. Like
funny?
that would bring me so much joy on a Monday. That's all I want.
The funny thing is the Falcons right now through week 9, if the playoffs started now, they would be hosting the Eagles. They would be, and I would like their chances. They would then have to go. They would then have to either visit the Commandos or they would host the Packers.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
See. Well,
I know. It's just one of those funny things because I just thought when I said, have fun getting railroaded by the Lions. In this scenario, they wouldn't see the Lions until the NFC Championship game. The idea of the Falcons being in the NFC Championship game is one goddamn game too close to the Super Bowl for my liking.
I believe their defense is not good enough when they play good offenses. It's my theory on Atlanta. So, Kevin, we always end with this. Do you want to change your score?
I do not.
What was your score?
I believe it was 22-17. Hang on, I've got my phone right here. Pull up ye old Twitter. And I'm going to keep calling it Twitter.
It'll be Twitter forever.
20-17. I initially picked Taysom as my MVP and then was told I'd already used him as a wild card. And I got Juwan Johnson as my MVP. So, yeah, I'm sticking with all that 20-17. I think it's just going to be one of those kind of games. Taysom will get a touchdown. Kamara will get a touchdown. Carr won't throw a touchdown. Or no, he'll throw a touchdown. Duh. He won't throw any picks. He'll lead the Saints down the field in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying it'll be tied, but he'll lead down the field in the fourth quarter. He'll have a couple of good drives. And, Blake Grupe will end up having the game-winning points.
Thomas, I'm changing my score.
Of course you are.
Saints 35.
Of course you are.
Saints 35, Atlanta 34. Saints score a touchdown with 7 seconds left to make it 34-33. And Rizzi says, we not going to overtime. They line up Taysom in the shotgun from the 2-yard line, and Taysom gets over. Saints win 35-34.
Wait. So then they would be having 27 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be 34-27.
26, yeah.
They score. Rizzi's like, nah, we're not going to overtime. We're gonna win this right now.
Yeah.
And Taysom gets in and they win. That's my Dome goes absolutely nuts. They might carry Rizzi.
You said 35-34?
35-34.
35-34. Okay.
And the only thing that would make it better is if the Saints win and it involved really, really bad officiating to help them win. That would make it even better because then Atlanta fans would be even more despondent. It's what I want. It's what I think is going to happen. And I'm going to be there. It's probably going to be my last Saints home game of the year. So that's what I want. So,
well,
anyway,
look, I hope you feel better.
I feel fine. I feel fine. Max does not. But like I said, strep is like super highly contagious. And since he's 8, he's been in the bed with me because he's been sick and all that stuff. So he's been, I made a point of like not letting him eat after me, not drinking. Trying not to just, not to just be stupid about it. But listen, man, as a parent, your kids are festering disease.
Germ factories.
They're festering factories of disease and germs. And that's just part of being a parent. I'm probably going to have strep at some point, either this weekend or when I get home on Monday. It's just going to happen. That is life, So, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to give us a like and leave a comment for the algorithm. It's a great way to support the show for free. And if you like what you saw, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/It's Happy Hour. Thomas has still not removed the secret gold level.
like 35% off of the gold level if you become an annual patron. One of these days in Poland, he's going to remember to take that down. You ought to hop on that before it goes away. For Kevin, I'm Ralph. Thanks for joining us. We will see you on Sunday after Saints Falcons. Unless I have strep, then you get nothing.